Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Dun 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 dun. No.
Y'all,
Just
this
stop.
is a sham.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live, the name of our show.
You should have just got up and walked out.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
See you soon. It's Thursday, December 16th. I'm Tori in for Jeff, and I'm here with Erica and Al. And we have to let you know that Ben Affleck is clarifying some of the comments he made on the Howard Stern show earlier this week. Now, we all talked a lot about this, how he seemed to blame his ex-wife, Jennifer Garner, for his drinking problem. Well, last night, he told Jimmy Kimmel it was all taken out of context. Take a look.
And he said that I had blamed my ex-wife for my alcoholism and that I was trapped in this marriage. Like, just made me out to be like the worst, most insensitive, stupid, awful guy. Really, like, it's about my kids. I gotta just draw a line.
Right,
you know,
of course.
I'm really clear. Like, that's not true. I don't believe that. It's the exact opposite of who I am, what I believe, and I would never want my kids to think I would ever say a bad word about their mom.
Reactions.
Erica?
I mean, this is really, it's strange. I just think about, like, who made the call to have that particular conversation on the Howard Stern show? Because it just reads to me like that was, when people are calling it reckless, that was the reckless thing to do. Because if you're going to have a conversation about something so serious and consequential, then maybe Stern isn't the place. And people are always like, oh, but it's open, it's transparent, but it's also too transparent, where you can stumble over a lot of things. People are actually kind of listening. A lot of people are listening to hear that stumble.
Totally.
And if it's about your ex-wife and who's the mother of your children and your family, then maybe it's with someone who will handle it with more care.
I agree. It's like a softer or softball approach to it. You can take a different way. You're right.
I mean, you got me thinking when we were talking about maybe this isn't the place to do this on Howard Stern, just because when you're going back to a period of alcoholism, which I've had to do and everybody else, you're going back to a pretty dark place in your life, especially when you're talking about a relationship that didn't work as well. Maybe the alcohol had something to do with that. Definitely did in my case. You need to unpack that before you get on the biggest platform, and that's usually with somebody who knows you and is willing to tell you when you go, well, she kind of did this. Somebody be like, Erica, I love you, you're wrong. Tori, I love you, but I saw what happened.
Cut it out.
You were acting crazy that day. You need to take time, years, to figure out who you are. And then when you get that interview, you'll be a lot more emotionally articulate, and you won't have to go on Jimmy Kimmel the next day to apologize. And don't forget, just because you apologize doesn't mean that everything's all good. And I'm telling you, Jennifer Garner feels some kind of way about what he said.
Great transition, because that is my next beat. Jennifer Garner hasn't publicly commented on Ben's interview, but some tabloids are reporting that she was less than thrilled with it. So keep in mind, these are just reports from tabloids, but according to In Touch, Jen felt Ben's comments blaming his drinking on their marriage were disrespectful and a slap in the face. Meantime, the other Jennifer in all this, Jennifer Lopez and Ben, were all smiles as they arrived at his Jimmy Kimmel taping yesterday. But Page 6 is reporting that J-Lo wasn't happy about his comments either, calling it, quote, reckless.
Did that coat have a comment?
It
was the biggest coat I've ever seen in my life.
Very large.
Okay.
What do we think about, first of all, do you believe them? We have to give a grain of salt here. These are all tabloids. But do you think it would be normal that J-Lo would be annoyed?
Yes, I do think it would be normal. I mean, yes, they're celebrities and they live extraordinary lives, but they have feelings like the rest of us. And I think that I would feel some type of way if the guy that I'm in a relationship is like openly talking about his former relationship, and also the way that it came across. Because if he's willing to speak about that relationship with someone who Jennifer Garner, as I said yesterday, seems pretty unproblematic and really seemed to try to help him along in this journey, then that leaves you the exposure as the old current girlfriend, you know, for him to do the same about you if it doesn't work out.
That's a great point. And remember, he started drinking when he was with J-Lo. So you're worried, like, what future interview will say, I can see, and she crafts her brand very carefully. Well,
apparently not, because she went and got a wild card with Ben Affleck. And so, like, when you date a guy like that, I'm not saying he's a bad person.
Right.
I'm sure he's a lot of fun to be with, but he's not, you know what, square. Like, he's going to be, you know, Ben is kind of a wild guy. And it's attractive to a lot of people. It's an attractive characteristic to have. But with that, you know that if you craft your brand like Erica does and craft your brand like Tori does, if you bring in a wild card, that wild card may do something to your brand that you were not anticipating. And I feel like for somebody that's as meticulous as her, I find it hard to believe she didn't know that.
It's interesting, too, that she went back with him. Maybe there's just they can't quit each other.
Well, we talked about it yesterday, but did they really break up on their own terms?
Right.
Or was it pressure from the outside, which happens? I know a lot of people were like, oh, it's the media's fault, but like it happens to everyday people. Like there's enough people around you, enough energy around you saying, we don't support this, and then eventually you end up splitting. And in hindsight, you're like, these are people who did not matter, aren't even around anymore, and we never really resolved and ended what we had on our own terms.
And let's be honest, J-Lo makes men that she's with are always like in love with her. I mean, when I was
that's important to
I was in Utah a couple weeks ago with my buddy Hannibal, and we were listening to that old Puffy song he made with 112 about like missing a girl, but he's clearly talking about J-Lo, and like it was like Puffy made a song about breaking up with her. Ben Affleck never clearly got over it. It's like J-Lo needs to write a book like, this is what I'm doing.
She's got
these men 20 years later are still right there.
You're absolutely right.
She'll keep it moving with or without you, and that is a recipe for, moving on,
that's
right?
A recipe. J-Lo from the block, that's right. All right, this is crazy. Bruce Springsteen. Bruce. That's what they call him.
I like it.
The boss.
And who's they?
The fans. Recently made bank by selling his entire song catalog for a reported $500 million. The catalog includes hits from Born in the USA and his multi-platinum album, The River. Now, there's no official price tag on the sale, but Billboard said it could be up to $500 million, which would make it the largest amount paid for a single artist's catalog. That's $500 million with the B.
Yeah.
I mean...
I'm just going to say this before we talk about this. I'm sure people look at us on TV and they're like, wow, that's a really cool job. I think I'm the lucky one because every time you do something like Bruce, I look at our EP, Chris, and he just goes like this.
I know! I saw him do that the whole time!
He's like, why are you doing that?
I go, Bruce, and he goes, why?
But he didn't even extend that. It just goes like, it's just very like, why did you do that?
Okay. I was like, well, that was it's so degrading. It's so dehumanizing. I love it. I thought, oh, this is going to kill. Do we think... I always
like
think
degrading and dehumanizing. That seemed a little...
My self-esteem is very precious, very fragile. I always think of like the Michael Jackson buying the Beatles catalog stuff. $500 million. What did you think when I first asked you?
Well, I know people were like, is he a sellout? I'm like, I hope so. That's the whole point of this. We're entertainers. We want to sell things to people. If you can sell them for $500 million, I didn't go to finance school at Harvard, but I think that's a good deal.
I would agree.
Yeah.
And Bruce Springsteen has had the type of career where he has taken, he's had all the ownership, he's had all these things. Now it's like, do I cash out or do I let my great-great-grandchildren cash out? Somebody's cashing out.
Totally. Bruce.
And Bruce is like, I'll cash out.
Yeah.
Cash me outside. All right, right? Right?
No.
Chris just went, All right, coming up on DBL, your skincare routine could be harming you. A plastic surgeon reveals the trends that can make you age actually faster. And a Real Housewife of New York is sharing her exclusive flirting tips. If you still need a date for your holiday party, you will want to stick around for this segment.
Closed captioning provided by
Well, it's not always. There are certain players that
Where they go, Bruce.
But it's got to. You have to.
It sounds like you're going, boo.
You have to have the right kind of name.
Right. It's like a Bruce. Maybe it's just Bruce.
No, there's other players that I'm trying to think of the NFL. Like there's been guys that like have gotten the ball.
What are we talking about?
You know how someone's name? It sounds like you're saying boo.
Well, here's my question because we're about to talk about flirting. And at first I was like, this is kind of silly, but I think flirting is like something that everybody needs to talk about because it's a slippery slope.
I agree, but I don't want to step over the story that we're about to talk about. But we can talk about the aspect from J-Lo because we're saying that how men just fall in love with J-Lo. And I think J-Lo is someone, you think about like Lady Gaga has that same thing. There's been Jennifer Aniston. Although people say things about them, Halle Berry, like everyone's like, they have so much to say because they've had so many great love stories or, this like sweeping off your feet type thing. But there's also this ability to reinvent themselves. And I think a lot of people get stagnant because they are stuck with who they were. And if you can evolve and really, that shows value for yourself. And when you show a high value for yourself, then other people tend to follow along. So when you look at J-Lo, like, look at the reiterations of her career. She doesn't even look the same in each different time because she's reinventing herself. And I think that makes people fall in love with you for one reason or another.
It's sort of like Madonna, even though I know she did it in a more crafted way, but she always had like the Western look. Remember, she had the Western album, and then she reinvented it as like Euro discotheque look, and then it was and I'm not saying she's the first, but she took that and ran with it of reinvention.
Do you think it's a bad thing though if you kind of not obsessive with your ex, but you're kind of still fixated on them? If that's almost your way of fixating on the past, and that's not really healthy either.
It depends on if you're doing it to fix yourself,
or you're just living,
or if you're just living there.
Welcome back, everyone, to DBL. Nobody likes to be alone for the holidays. So Luann de Lesseps has some tips for flirting. She's a real housewife, just so you know. So you can hopefully cozy up to someone special. She shared them with Page 6. Take a look.
Charm goes a long way. People forget to give each other compliments and to, make really good eye contact and let people know that, you like them without, touching people, of course, because in this day and age, you have to be careful about that kind of stuff, but and doing shots out of people's house.
Okay, that escalated quickly.
The doing shots out of people's mouths thing comes from Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, where she does a shot out of the concierge's mouth, Michael, who happens to be married. So I did not care for that.
That's right.
Although I do like me some Luann de Lesseps.
We all love the Countess. What do you think about her tips on flirting? Eye contact?
Right.
Anything else?
I think one thing that I will double down on, although people feel so uncomfortable about it, is it's okay to let someone know that you're interested. Like, no one is a mind reader. No, I understand it's a risk. It's a risk.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you're not going to take any risk, and like, at least, I'll never forget, I was in junior high, I was in love with this guy. His name was Steve.
Steve! I was like, give us a name.
I was in love with Steve, and I would not tell Steve that I liked him. And when he started dating this girl, Julie, and I was so upset that Steve was dating Julie, and then I remember this girl told me, she's like, well, Julie told Steve that she liked him, and you just waited around to see if he liked you first.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I swear to you, ever since then, if I was interested, I would let someone know I was interested.
So is that your way of flirting? Is like literally
But Erica's attractive. Like, it's very hard to flirt if the person is not attracted to you.
But
that's where the problem comes in.
Attractive is subjective.
No, you're really pretty.
Erica, stop.
Yeah, you're real pretty.
Stop. You can't do this.
Yeah, you can't. That's not.
We're not doing it.
Okay, what? Y'all are in a la la
Erica,
land
I'm saying,
right now.
It's a good thing. You're an attractive person. Everybody doesn't get that deal. I'm like hit or miss. So like I have to tread a little bit differently.
Okay, tell me your plan.
No, there is no plan. It's like it's harder to read the tea leaves when you know that like I don't look like Mario Lopez or Michael B. Jordan walking anywhere. So like it's weird when attractive people flirt. They're like, oh, just do this and touch her hand and she'll know. Like, to y'all,
you can do that.
We don't get that deal. So it's harder for us regular looking.
That's funny. For the sixes out there.
Yes.
I think also
that is okay.
What?
Go ahead.
It's different.
No, y'all, this is so funny to me. I have never, I swear to you, that statement has never been made to me, like on a regular, I've never been
Check your Instagram.
I'm being honest, like, I think, and that's another thing. Also, don't get stuck in like where your life is or where the fad is right now. Because I'm 40 and people are saying that to me now. That's not the way that I grew up at all.
Fair.
So I think it is important to show, because when you are showing that you have a higher self-esteem, that you value yourself at a certain rate,
confidence,
people tend to elevate to that.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes people attractive, in my opinion.
See, I think flirting and confidence go hand in hand. I also think make them laugh. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
Like me. Coming up on DBL, the beauty trends that can leave you permanently scarred. You don't want to miss our interview with a plastic surgeon to help you defy aging safely. Stay tuned.
I have at least
Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin recently claimed during a town hall meeting that gargling mouthwash, quote, has been proven to kill the coronavirus, unquote. Johnson later tweeted a link to the results of a clinical trial that concluded commercially available mouthwash can potentially reduce the viral load of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19 in saliva. And now people are questioning whether gargling mouthwash can prevent or treat COVID-19. So let's verify. Our sources are the American Dental Association, 3 major brands that produce oral care products like mouthwash, and Dr. Jason Kindrachuk. The study referenced in Senator Johnson's tweet looked at the impact of mouthwash on viral load in saliva, but it didn't say mouthwash is a cure or preventative treatment for COVID-19. According to the American Dental Association, quote, there is currently no evidence to support that mouthwash reduces infection with or is a treatment of disease caused by the COVID-19 virus, unquote. Verify reached out to the makers of Crest, Scope, and Listerine mouthwash, and all 3 companies confirmed that no evidence currently exists that rinsing with a mouthwash prevents or treats COVID-19. Dr. Jason Kindrachuk says claims that mouthwash can prevent or kill COVID have been around since 2020, but they aren't true.
So for regular mouthwashes and rinse aids, when we heard about these suggestions very early on in 2020, none of that has borne out into fruition.
So we can verify this claim as false. There's no evidence gargling mouthwash can prevent or treat COVID-19. Through the pandemic, Johnson has been accused of spreading misinformation about the virus. In June, YouTube suspended his account for a week after the senator shared a video encouraging people to use alternative COVID-19 treatments. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till.
Welcome back. When something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Earlier, we sat down with America's holistic plastic surgeon, Dr. Anthony Yoon, and he spilled about popular trends that will actually age you. Check it out.
Dr. Yoon, welcome to DBL. So you are a holistic plastic surgeon. Most people wouldn't think the two go hand in hand. So what exactly does that mean?
What it means is that back in the past, 20 years ago, as plastic surgeons, all we really could do is cut. We would lift things up by doing facelifts and brow lifts and blepharoplasty, things like that. But now there is a whole plethora of things that we can do to turn back the clock. And it really does start with what you eat. The food that you eat can have profound impacts on your aging process and the health of your skin. There's so many other things that we can do non-invasively using technology. And so it's kind of looking at anti-aging from this holistic, whole body, kind of whole world of possibilities perspective.
I love that.
I do too, but I want to talk injections because there is so much confusion because we hear all of these different terms like Botox, fillers. Are they interchangeable? What's the difference?
Yeah, there's a huge difference between Botox and fillers. Botox is a neurotoxin. It causes muscles to not move, essentially. And there's some wrinkles called dynamic wrinkles that Botox is great for. And those are typically wrinkles in the upper face. The forehead lines, the frown lines, and the crow's feet. Those are treated by Botox. Filler, the best way to describe filler is it's kind of like liquid skin. You can inject it into parts of the face to basically plump up the lips, to fill out the cheeks, or fill out wrinkles. So in general, wrinkles from here on down is filler. Wrinkles from here on up, that's Botox.
Interesting. You know what I love about you too is because, of course, we do our research here, and I love that you are not only, a very well-respected plastic surgeon, but you keep it 100 with your patients and with people seeking help from you. You admit to them that there are popular procedures that you tell them don't do it. They actually will speed up the aging process. What are they, and why are people still getting them? Why aren't other doctors advising their patients like you do?
Well, unfortunately, it comes down to money. And there are some procedures, especially popular on social media, that young people are getting that aren't necessarily the best things for them. So the first one is called a buccal fat removal. And this is removal of a little gumball-sized chunk of fat from the inside the cheeks. This is something that's being done all across the country, and with a certain type of facial shape, a rounder shape, kind of a bottom-heavy shape, then that can work nicely to contour the face in. But if you do that procedure in the wrong patient, somebody with a thinner face, like let's say myself, it can actually cause me to age more rapidly as my face gets thinner as I get older.
Wow. And there is one other routine, or there's one other procedure as well, right? Something with the lip, the upper lip?
Yeah, so another super popular procedure online is the upper lip lift. And that's essentially removing a chunk of skin from the top of the upper lip, the bottom of the nose. And this is something that's been advertised all over social media.
I've seen it.
Yeah, typically young women in their 20s. But the problem with that operation is it creates a permanent scar underneath the nose.
Yikes.
And in young people, we don't know how this is going to scar. That scar can be very visible. It can even develop into a keloid. So this is a buyer beware, definitely, type of an operation.
Oof.
Wow, I know.
Lord.
Thank goodness for him.
Ciao. Well, what do our faces need in the morning and night? Do we really need a 12-step routine?
You don't. And that's the problem is right now, it seems like if you've got a skin issue, you think, well, maybe if I just buy another product and apply that to my skin, it's going to make my skin better. And what can happen is you get people who are on 6, 7, 8 different products and they don't like their skin. They're having breakouts and things like that. So the simplest thing to do, especially if you've got issues like that, is pare down that skincare routine. In the morning, all you really have to do is cleanse your skin with an appropriate cleanser, apply an antioxidant serum like vitamin C, and then a good sunscreen, ideally SPF 30. At night, you cleanse your skin, super important to get rid of that day's worth of grime and dust and pollution in the makeup, and then use an anti-aging cream, one like retinol or growth factors or peptides. And honestly, if that's all you do, you're way ahead of most people.
I love that. That's so simple, too. Thank you so much, Dr. Yoon. DBL Nation, you can follow Dr. Yoon on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram for more holistic plastic surgery tips. We appreciate you. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
That sound means it is time to verify. Signed, sealed, and delivered with COVID-19. 'Tis the season to send Christmas cards, but with COVID concerns front of mind for yet a second Christmas, we need to revisit this question about your mail. Teresa Wilson asked, why has no one mentioned the fact people still lick their envelopes and want to hand them to a postal clerk? She said she's a postal clerk and asked, isn't this unsanitary? Let's verify. Our sources for this are the Centers for Disease Control, a National Institutes of Health study on COVID and surfaces, and Wake Forest Health infectious disease physician Dr. Chris Uhl. We got a similar question during Christmas time last year with holiday cards. We found a National Institutes of Health study that looked at how the virus spreads on different surfaces. It found the virus can live on paper products like cardboard for up to 24 hours, but has no infection capability on that surface. The CDC also concludes touching surfaces is not the main means of transmission. That said, Dr. Uhl understands viewer Teresa's concern about handling freshly sealed mail.
Now, licking in an envelope is directly putting saliva on the envelope. The virus isn't going to last long in that environment. After, a few minutes to an hour or two, its transmissibility is basically nil. However, if you're going to lick an envelope and directly give it to somebody who then is ungloved and then for some reason wipes their face, I guess there's a potential for transmission in that section.
However, he said it's probably not a major concern or health threat. For postal workers like Teresa, wearing gloves and washing hands can reduce any threat of transmission. So we can verify, yes, it's true. Licking an envelope is unsanitary for the postal worker, but simple precautions can mitigate that risk. And overall, you are very unlikely to spread COVID through the mail. But to be courteous and health conscious, just seal your envelopes at home with a sponge or sticker instead of saliva. With your Verify, I'm Megan Malaris.
After nearly 2 years of suspended payments and interest, the Biden administration is telling people with student loans it's time to pay up. This week, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki confirmed to reporters that the student loan payment pause instituted by the CARES Act at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020 is still scheduled to end on January 31st. That means, starting in February, an estimated 41 million Americans carrying student loan debt will need to account for a new expense in their budget. In total, Americans owe a staggering $1.6 trillion. Leaders in the president's own party are calling for him to extend the pause and eliminate some of that student debt. They argue resuming the payments now could lead to financial hardship, especially with the emergence of the Omicron variant. The White House says they're monitoring the impact of Omicron, but a smooth transition back into repayment is a high priority. As for eliminating some student debt, the White House has said they're open to the idea, but are still waiting on legislation from Congress.
If you're doing some last-minute shopping, check out these deals Steph showed me earlier from our friends at Morning Save. Our studio's crazy.
All right, what do you have for us today, Stephanie? So first up, we've got a 2-pack of iJoy Chase Face Plus Object Tracking Robot. This cell phone holder has intuitive face and object tracking, so wherever you move, your phone will follow. So these are normally $50, but right now they're only $19, saving you guys 62%. So we've got 2 Almost Famous, look at these, gorgeous, Almost Famous cryo cooling massage globes. Yes. And you just literally use these devices to soothe your skin. It reduces redness, tones down puffiness, it improves circulation, and promotes skincare absorption for plump, youthful looking skin. So normally these are $69, but we've got them for only $25. I know it saves our viewers 64%. So we've got the Power to Go 5-in-1 wireless, look at these, private listening TV headphones. So this deal comes with 1 set of headphones with 1 transmitter, which is this thing here, and it comes with a power adapter. So with this deal, you can have a private listening experience for music, TV, and more. Ooh. So these are usually $60, and right now it's $19. So that saves 68%. And then last but certainly not least, we've got Life Pro Mobility and Air Compression Leg Massager. Whoa. So this deal includes one of these gorgeous massagers with a charging adapter. The massager has 3 different vibration modes, 3 different heat levels, and 3 intensity levels for customized comfort. So normally it's as much as $225, but right now we've got it for only $99, which saves you 56%. Head on over to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices. You can even visit morningsave.com on your smartphone. Thank you so, so much, Steph.
Those ice cold toner ball things are great. DBL is new every day. We'll be back tomorrow. Bye, guys.